Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath. We're going to turn the light on because I did not turn the light on. Last video did not require the light, but we're going to shine the light this time. Alright, guys. Alright, so what we're going to discuss today is Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber. And I'm going to get right to the point. He treats her horribly. Allegedly. Actually, for our own eyes to see, he treats her absolutely horribly. And I want to talk about toxic relationships and how we get acclimatized to them and use the lens of Justin and Hailey. Guys, there's all this kind of photographic evidence, and also it is very storied that Selena's relationship with Justin was quite fraught with tumult and toxic, terrible treatment that she was not deserving of. They were kids. Justin has a lot of things going on for him, a lot of issues, and one of them is that he doesn't seem to respect women at all, allegedly. Now, we can watch with his relationship with Hailey Bieber, though, where his full narcissistic monster comes out to play and unapologetically play as well. Justin is mean to Hailey. We've seen him slam car doors in her face. We've seen him show up to her red carpet events for her business in sweats and joggers and just disrespectful wear. Like, he didn't even try. Like, it looked like he was going to play basketball with his buddies, with his homies, and not be at his wife's red carpet thing where she's in heels and a beautiful dress. We could cast a lot of the blame on Justin, but I want to examine Hailey's behavior, because Hailey's behavior is something that I think a lot of us as empaths can relate to. She is definitely doing a lot of people pleasing. There's a lot of codependency on Justin. There's a dopamine response for Justin to like her. And it's often joked about, like, she's been a fan of his, and because she was a fan, she went out of her way to procure her position with Justin, chased him while he had a girlfriend. All of the, like, no-nos and all of the things that we say we shouldn't do. That is what she did. And she did it, and be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. She got what she wanted. She got the guy she wanted, but she lost herself. We've watched her lose herself. And he's, been rumored to just do terrible things to her. If any of you guys watch Shallon Lester, she's talked about them before. Well, Shallon worked for Star, or one of those, like, gossip magazines, and she was saying, according to her sources, that they were scheduled to go on vacation, and Hailey was at the airport getting ready to come. I think this is before they were married. Hailey was at the airport getting ready to come, and Justin called her and was like, I don't want to see your face at all. Don't get on that plane. Don't come over here. And she's like, but I'm at the airport. Like, what do you mean? And he didn't want her to come. And then he proceeded to frolic on the island, literally with his cock out, with a bunch of Instagram baddies and girls and whatever. And knowing Hailey's nature is obsessive, we all know that Hailey's nature is obsessive because of how she got Justin and how that whole relationship unfolded. And she would be watching it the whole time. And she was watching it the whole time because she was devastated. He rejected me for who? For what? And there are so many times where we can look at that relationship, and it's so easy to be the observer, but when we're in our own toxic relationships, it's not that easy to see. And that's why I thought I might draw some cross comparisons. But she should have left him then. She should have never looked back. She should have been like, get fucked. When you are in a relationship, in the beginning of someone abusing you, it's insidious. You don't realize it at first until you do realize it, and then you have to wonder, are you attached now to the person that is being abusive? Can you cut it off? Should you cut it off? What does that feel like? What does that look like? It's really hard to do. I'm not saying that this is going to be an easy thing for her, but I'm saying I see how she got in it because I've been there. And I think a lot of you guys watching have been there too, where you're dealing with someone who at first may love bomb you or seem like they're really interested, and then they can't carry the weight of what it is that they alleged, promised, or alluded to that they could. And Justin is not a person that does any self introspection. He is always the prize because he's talented, because he's maybe talented in other areas too. So he's used to people fawning and fiending over him. And so he's never really worked or put a lot of respect into managing his relationships with women. But with Hailey, his toxicity is fully on display. And there are many times when Hailey should have walked away, but out of codependency, out of that dopamine trigger and response, she stayed. And she stayed because she thinks she loves him. She stayed because she thinks she can fix him. When the truth is, he knows she's going to stay. He doesn't respect her, and so he can walk away and come back and forth. They will end up being divorced someday, and it's because she'll either get weary or Justin, God forbid, and I pray that's not the way it goes, will leave her, of which she will never ever. It's not that she'll never recover, but the thing is, she was such a fan. And that fan behavior, when you do acquire the person, if you are so lucky to do that, it can just get so really toxic. And also, it can be reversed too, meaning she could have flipped this on him and used some war strategies, 48 laws of power, 33 laws of war. She could have done that. But she didn't, because when we're involved in loving someone, it is hard for us sometimes to see clearly that those strategies could be applicable or would be beneficial. And we just kind of go along to get along, and we kind of like stay in the flow of the toxicity. I know it's something that I have done. But Justin is not invested into Hailey because he doesn't feel like he has to be. Hailey is super invested into him for pride, for competition. Guys see that coming, or anyone sees that coming. Someone that's willing to be in the competition, and they know that they're like rubbing their hands together like Birdman because they get to use that for their advantage, because they will play you against yourself. Even if it's not against another woman, they will triangulate you against your own internal locus of competition. And that's what we've seen with Hailey, and it's so tragic. He doesn't respect her. And she thinks she's hanging on for some essence of love, or some power of love. She's hanging on because she doesn't want to lose. Because it would be devastating for her to have put this much work in, to have been as disrespected as she has repeatedly been, and then she still loses. And that is something that we sometimes can't fathom. And so that's one of the things that Hailey is going through, is how do I stay in this, because this is my grand prize. Because obviously her self-esteem, I don't care how much of a model she is, I don't care who her family is, wasn't where it needed to be. And she accepted a lot of toxicity. We know that Justin will dole out toxicity because we see from his ex that she talked a lot about the toxicity that was doled out to her. And Selena's pretty much America's sweetheart in so many ways. People love her. And she's dated a lot of really famous people that have been in love with her. If you think about the Weeknd song, Call Out My Name, that song is written about Selena. He's like, I put you on top. I said your name. I was so proud of you. Selena's broken a few hearts herself. But the most toxic relationship she was in was with Justin. And it is documented, and she talks about it. And what she did do after she got out of that relationship was she very often stood up for herself and said, you don't deserve to be treated badly. You didn't do anything to deserve that. You deserve love. Because she was doing her own therapy, her own self-talk, and her own realization that Justin was a one-off. He did not have to be the standard of her relationships going forward. And that's the truth. Justin was a one-off. Now, will Justin be a one-off for Hailey? Time will only tell. She can go back and forth and play petty games with him and try to make him jealous, and that will work for a tiny bit. But he's not genuinely jealous. He never genuinely had to chase Hailey. It was a built-in fandom. And sometimes you might think that that works. It never works. You want someone who can push, who can challenge you, who can stand up, who can do all of that. And it doesn't work. if it's done in a way like we watched what happened with Hailey. She doesn't challenge him. She may yes man him. She may say yes or no at certain times. But overall, his toxic behavior is permitted because she still idolizes him. She still pedestalizes him. And she still believes that his stock is worth more than hers. Somewhere deep down, and we watch that play out. When you're with narcissistic people, it is a trick that they will do with you to get you to not believe in yourself. And one of the first things that someone will do in the beginning of a relationship is get you to second guess yourself, because if they can do that then they can certainly utilize it later, where they can get you to second guess yourself completely, and that way their word is bond and their word is the truth, and they will gaslight you out of your own even understanding of reality. And so I wonder about what happened inside of their relationship. Justin's not going to change, so that's another thing. People often talk about, well, people have changed and whatever. Change is so hard fought and not easily earned. You have to really dig deep. Our brains will rewire. Our souls will go back to what is comfortable. Our personalities are entrenched. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means that it doesn't often happen because of another person. It happens because you actually want the change. In any case, if you recognize yourself as a Hailey and you've been competitive before, that can be used against you. If you recognize yourself as a Hailey and you have been overly compassionate and caring about someone who didn't really care about you, one of the things that people that don't care about you think, and I've experienced this too often in my life, they're like, I don't even like you that much, and you think I like you that much, and I'm getting so much energy from you, and like, I don't even like you that much. You must not like you that much, because I don't even like you that much. And even if it's not that thought process specifically that a narcissist thinks, that is what the overarching energy is. So that's why the disrespect is so profound, because they're like, you don't realize that I don't like you. Like, I'm not really that into you. There have been times in my life where I have been with people, whether I've been dating them or friends with them, where I can tell that they don't like me, and usually I will call it out, right? And I'll be like, because my empath self and my intuitive self, even if I'm going to gaslight my own self, which I've also done at times too, I will identify, like, you don't like me. And even if the person says back to me, no, I do, my instinct never forgets that moment, because whatever happens, and if it falls apart, or if I have to disembark, or like I have in many instances, that is the moment my angels bring me back to my center, where you're like, why are you acting like this? Like, this is so strange. And so, and it's not being in a victim mentality, guys. Our intuition will talk to us. It doesn't matter what anybody says. How do you feel? How do you feel? And when I watch Justin and Hailey, I'm like, oh, my heart breaks for her, because I realize she's like literally in the throes of a toxic codependent relationship. She doesn't think so. She thinks she has a prize and everybody's haters and everybody wants her man. Thank you to her man. But I'm like, does Justin like you? Because there are some inalienable truths at times where you can just be like, they don't like me. Even if you could convince yourself later that they do. That's something that I never forget, is that moment when I feel like, I don't know about this. And I feel like she's not tapped into any of those moments. I feel like she was so happy to get him that she disregarded those moments when her angels were like, is this person a fan? Do they actually care about you? A fan of you, Hailey. You're a fan of him, but is he a fan of you? Does he love Hailey Bieber Rhodes, whatever her name is? And one of the things that I remember watching with my own eyes was she was making cookies. She was trying to like do a little cooking show. Some say copied off of Selena, but she was doing a little cooking show in their house, and she was making chocolate chip cookies and acting like, I baked these for Justin all the times. He loves it. And it was her own little thing. And he was so narky. He couldn't just let her have her own frame. He had to come and love up on her and kiss her and make out with her and all this stuff that we know that on any given Sunday, speaking of a Super Bowl Sunday today, any given Sunday, he wasn't doing. Meaning, we've watched him be outwardly mean and cruel to her. So why couldn't he leave her alone in that moment? Well, because one, he wanted the shine to be on him. Two, she was doing something cool for herself, and he felt a way about that, a little bit of jealousy. Three, that love bombing goes a long way, because then it validates what she doesn't often get in the public, which is, instead of a door slammed in her face and him storming out of a vehicle or a house or a place and telling her to kiss the darkest part of his ass, he's now like loving her. And so it's like a moment that he knows that she's gonna cherish, because she'd be like, look at how sweet he was, like he couldn't even let me make my chocolate chip cookies. But I saw manipulation, I saw shenanigans, and I saw toxicity of him wanting to veer the attention off of her to him, because how dare she have something that was just for her, that didn't involve him and wasn't centered around him. And even in that moment, he couldn't help but be his real self when she said something to him, and he was like, oh, you better be so lucky that you're hot, you better be so glad that you're hot, as if to say that her worth was only predicated upon her hotness, and that he couldn't find any other reason to love her, and her hotness was buying her time in their relationship. Guys, that is a masterclass on what not to do. Even watch 2 videos today, in case you wonder if it's been you. Watch 2 videos and see if you see yourself in Hailey, or can see your past self in Hailey. It's painful. I have. I definitely have loved someone more than they've loved me. And usually when I notice that I'm doing that, even in my current everyday life, I'm very aware, like, you know, the end is always near. Because there has to be such a hard reset, because if someone feels that they have that power dynamic over you, it's interesting how we work as humans. Even if they are the kindest person, they will lean into that power dynamic, because that is just the nature of humans, is to be whatever is allowed. So yeah, do yourself proud and recap and replay these tapes and see if you can see your face, your energy, some of your mannerisms or behavior in Hailey, and then clap yourself on the back, pat yourself on the back, because you've grown and you're not that same person. And if you're entering into a new relationship, I was working with clients yesterday, I only had a couple yesterday, but the themes were about relationships where someone's trying to get you to not trust yourself. It usually happens right at the beginning. You may think it's insignificant, but anytime there's toxicity that will show itself later, it always shows up right in the beginning. So I had a client be like, oh, it's just no big deal, he said this and whatever, and I was like, yeah, but he was trying to get you to like second guess yourself. When that's happened to me, and it has, I come down so hard now, it almost seems unreasonable on whoever it is, even if they are so well-meaning and actually maybe could even be innocent. I let them know, like, this is you undermining my intuition. It can't happen. Da 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 da. And you would think that I wouldn't have to do that repeatedly, but I do, because it's an interesting thing we do as humans, to shift power. I don't even know if people realize that they're doing it. Sometimes people are truly narky and terrible, and they mean to do it on purpose. They want to undermine you. And sometimes people just don't think twice about it. But what your job isn't to examine whether they're a full narcissist. Like, we can't do the full panel and workup at that moment. What you can do is stick up for yourself in that moment and be like, this is my intuition. This is how it works. And I can't have that. I cannot even have you second guess me, because it puts me in a weird position. If someone's a narc, they're going to lean in and try to like push that button with you again, just because they're willful. If they're not, they're just going to be like, oh, my bad, and you guys will regroup. Okay, so that's just a little discernment for you. Anyway, guys, that's what I have for you. Hailey and Justin literally are doomed. It is just a matter of time, and she will be in a lot of therapy. What she will learn from this relationship is what not to do again in the future, but she will also reflect back on who she was and wasn't. She was a child, essentially, trying to do this very grown-up thing called love and marriage. It is intense for any of us, no matter what age, and she did it with someone who didn't fundamentally form and develop natural empathetic skill sets, because they were always it. They were always first, and they were very talented in art, which is Justin. Be careful what you ask for, guys. Sometimes the thing that you think is the prize will be the thing that pulls illusions right in front of your eyes. Be so very careful. So anyway, that's a cautionary tale. Justin and Hailey, what not to do. And Hailey, you'll never see this, but love you, boo. Choose you. And even when this falls apart, know that it is to build you back up with a braver heart, not just to be a doormat. It's painful to watch because I so relate to loving someone in that way. And my capacity to love someone in that way. Finally, I will leave you with this. Pray for protection. Our hearts, empaths, even when they're broken, still have that capacity to be that level of loving. Maybe not as codependent, maybe not as fixated. I'm often ready to jump in any of my friendships or connections. I'm very aware, like, this can end at any moment, right? And I think that might have a little bit to do with PTSD and trauma too. But I actually prefer being on that side of it than the side of absolute limerence and this must last forever. People change, people shift. It can't always last forever. And the greatest gift you can give yourself is self-reliance and knowing like you're going to be okay no matter what love endeavor or friendship endeavor is in front of you. Okay? So that's my little takeaway for you. You're stronger than you know. Sometimes it's good to reflect on things that you might have done because there's a new path in which you will grow. Okay? And it's not the same codependent path. Even if you still have some traits, you're not the same facsimile of a person you were when people were literally playing in your face or in your 20s or 30s or you name it, okay? All right, guys, come back and join me next time. We'll continue to evolve together.